There is a tradition in magic that few have ever heard of, a tradition that has spanned a century and literally shaped the direction of an entire art form. It is a romantic notion, a lineage of kings of magic.
When I was a kid, I was reading this, and it was fascinating to me, you know, to see this dynasty, this history of magic, one magician passing along his knowledge to another one.
It is called the Royal Dynasty, and to wear the mantle, one must have already risen to a position of preeminence in the world of magic.
This just happens to be an unbroken line of succession, and each time it happened to be the premier magician of that particular era.
Of course, I never dreamed that my life would ever intersect this thing.
This is the story of 5 remarkable magicians and a century of secrets. This is the story of a unique tradition, the Royal Dynasty of Magic. Lance Burton has done what few magicians of his generation have been able to accomplish. He's produced, directed, and starred in his own full-length evening show. He fills his Las Vegas theater 2 times a night, 230 days a year, with a style of magic that best exemplifies the classic magic of another age. But recently, outside of public view, Lance achieved something more. On May 12, 1994, in a private ceremony at the Hacienda Hotel in Las Vegas, an event took place that brought back memories of the past, as well as a challenge for the future. Lance Burton became the latest in a succession of master magicians known as the Royal Dynasty of Magic. The Royal Dynasty is unique to magic. 5 very inventive magicians passing their knowledge and resources on to the next, each member setting a standard of excellence to which all magicians must aspire. Past title holders include Harry Kellar, Howard Thurston, the great Dante, and Lee Grabel. The Royal Dynasty has been called the standard by which magic ensures its own integrity as an art form. Many see the master magicians of the Royal Dynasty as the torchbearers of magic and showmanship, almost Arthurian in their dedication and obligation to the tradition of creating illusion.
In the 20th century, there have been many great magicians, but this just happens to be an unbroken line of succession. And each time it happened to be the premier magician of that particular era.
As America marched confidently into the 20th century, magic was enjoying a period of incredible popularity, a period known as Magic's Golden Age. A magician from Pennsylvania named Harry Kellar emerged as the most popular conjurer on the continent, and the Royal Dynasty of Magic was born.
He was really the first great, American magician. I mean, before Harry Kellar, there had been no real tradition of magic in the United States.
Ironically, perhaps part of the reason audiences viewed Kellar as the reigning king of American magic was because he had performed on 6 continents in some very exotic locales.
I think that was part of his attraction to the public, to go and see this person who had actually seen the pyramids and the Sphinx and talked with Maharajis and Oriental princesses and things like this. It was a very romantic thing to go and see.
Kellar used this exotic, mysterious image in his posters and advertising. It was, after all, good business.
Kellar knew the value of these posters and the excitement that the posters would generate by sending people to put up posters a couple of days ahead of the show. It just started a buzz in whatever town he was playing, and it would get the people out.
By all accounts, Kellar's show was spectacular. He combined intimate sleight-of-hand magic with grand illusions like the mysterious spirit cabinet, an illusion in which spirits manifested themselves in a locked cabinet. Kellar also embraced the era's love affair with technology. In an effort to keep current, he incorporated seemingly lifelike intelligent machines called automatons into his act. These clockwork-like creatures thrilled Victorian and Edwardian audiences with their ability to play cards, smoke, and make arithmetical calculations.
He acquired many automatons in which he would demonstrate, and that's a foreign notion for modern audiences, the concept of looking at this robot and being fascinated, but this is an age before movies, before television, before radio even.
Kellar bought this version of Psycho, this little automaton that was amazing and could pick cards out and play cards with people, and he would perform this in his show, and audiences loved it, and Kellar used it for years, and he performed it all around the world.
Kellar's Psycho can still be enjoyed today, thanks to the painstaking restoration work of illusion builder John Gahn.
Psycho, you're with us tonight. Let's see if you can multiply. How about, what is the answer to 5 times 5, please? He's very fast. He's thinking. And I believe, yes, he's picked a 2. One more card, Psycho. And the 5, 25. Very good.
Kellar also introduced a number of illusions, primarily the masculine levitation, which he made one of his principal effects. And with it, he had great success.
When the person was floating in the air under Kellar's command, you could hear a pin drop in the audience, and people actually believed that he had this power. Kellar had this aura of believability in that people liked him because he was charming, but they also believed he might have these strange powers. So he was a very good actor.
He knew how to smile, and he made people love him. And again, that's one of the big secrets of being an entertainer, let alone a magician.
Oh, wonderful. We'll bring him to Vegas. He'll love it here.
This ability to draw people in, to engage them as a performer, is a trademark of all members of the royal dynasty. Harry Kellar had it, and so does the current title holder, Lance Burton.
I love your outfit, Lisa. Doesn't she look lovely? And, oh, hold on there. Wait a minute, sweetheart. You got a little tag stuck on your dress. Let me pull that off for you. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, I'll get it. Hold on.
Lance sits down on the edge of the stage and talks to the people, and you really get the feeling that he wants to make sure they're having a good time.
I think she liked that one. Okay. Lisa, here you go. Oh, wait, Lisa, you got something else stuck in there. Let me pull that out. There it is. Your official Lance Burton magic set.
In 1908, after almost 40 years of thrilling audiences throughout the United States and the world, Harry Kellar retired. This ignited speculation as to who would inherit both Kellar's show and the role of Keeper of the Flame. Kellar had his eyes set on a popular young magician named Howard Thurston.
Thurston, I think, was a good choice. He had certainly paid his dues. He was a great card manipulator. He had toured the world. He had made a success of himself. He was performing illusions. He was a young guy with lots of get up and go.
In 1908, in I believe it was Baltimore, Maryland, Kellar passed his mantle of magic to Thurston, and the physical act was taking this cloak and handing it over to Thurston.
It was very official when Kellar handed his show over to Thurston. This is my successor. This is the man who will carry magic into the future. So America could say, well, if Kellar says this is the next guy, then we'll take his word for it.
Thurston used this to great advantage, printing posters of the moment when the mantle was passed. And it was something that many other magicians were genuinely envious of. What Thurston and Kellar had done was conclude one of the greatest deals in showbiz to date.
Grand as the passing of the dynastic torch was, it was also an extremely lucrative deal for both Howard Thurston and Harry Kellar. Thurston would receive all of Kellar's magic props and theater contracts, while Kellar received a percentage of Thurston's box office receipts.
What's interesting is to see what happened.
What happened is that Howard Thurston immediately began to transform Harry Kellar's show into the biggest and most spectacular magic revue the world had ever seen. As the 1920s roared, America celebrated in crowded speakeasies, seemingly oblivious to the nation's experiment with prohibition. Throughout this turbulent decade, Howard Thurston reigned supreme as America's #1 magician. He toured North America, playing some of the most prestigious theaters on the continent.
He took the magic show and expanded it, made it an event. When Thurston came to town, it was an event. It was a big show with lots of assistants, and ducks and rabbits and a lion, and you know, it was like the circus coming to town.
Thurston ran what he called the Wonder Show of the Universe. He would tour the country every year, and every year he would introduce some great new illusion.
With his daughter Jane by his side as his assistant, Thurston presented illusions that varied from grand spectacle to intimate sleight of hand. One of Thurston's specialties was throwing cards from incredible distances with impeccable accuracy. It's a skill known as card scaling.
Howard Thurston, according to legend, once threw a card to the top of an 8-story building when he was standing on the ground.
This is one of the very cards that Thurston was known for having thrown. It's not a regular playing card you see, just an advertising card with Howard on one side and Jane on the other.
He spent tremendous volumes of money, always updating his show every year, coming up with the finest effects.
They went back not so much to see, oh, I wonder what new tricks Thurston's going to have this season. They went back because they wanted to spend another evening with Howard Thurston.
In his 1929 autobiography, Thurston wrote, "You can fool the eyes and minds of the people, but you cannot fool their hearts." As shown by this 1934 performance at the Roosevelt White House, Thurston's charismatic personality appealed to adults and children alike.
You know that every boy has an egg in his mouth on Easter morning. Open your mouth wide as you can. Wide as you possibly can. Let it come out. Let it come out. There you are. There's an egg, Mrs. Roosevelt. May I give it to you for tomorrow morning's breakfast?
He had this great way, this friendly demeanor, and people loved him, and kids loved him, and he would do tricks with lots of kids on the stage, and it was funny, and he was friendly, and people just loved him.
In 1923, Thurston financed a second magic show and named a virtually unknown magician, Harry Jansen, its star. He changed Jansen's name to Dante and launched him on a world tour reminiscent of Harry Kellar's. The only stipulation was that while Dante could tour the rest of the world, Thurston would remain the preeminent magician in America. Jansen, in turn, would become Thurston's successor.
Jane Thurston always said that if her father had searched the world over, he could never have found anyone more adaptable and more proficient to take over his show as successor than Dante.
Unfortunately, Thurston never got the chance to pass on his mantle in a formal ceremony. On December 13, 1935, Howard Thurston had a stroke shortly after a performance.
He had high hopes of regaining his strength and going back on the road, but he died in the hospital in Florida in 1936.
If the turn of the century belonged to Kellar and the 20s belonged to Thurston, the 30s and 40s were Dante's. He created long-playing records throughout Europe with his lavishly produced show and signature phrase, Sim Salabim.
Sim Salabim. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Art Baker has told you the story, so let's just get right on with the problem. But first, may I call your attention to the simplicity of the arrangement. A skeleton casket scarcely large enough to accommodate Miss Miller, resting upon a 4-inch platform or table. May I introduce lovely Miss Moya Miller?
In 1933, the addition of Moyo Miller as Dante's principal assistant and later artistic director added a touch of Hollywood glamour to the show. With Moyo Miller as his co-star, along with 26 assistants and 20 tons of baggage, Dante toured the world for an incredible 12 years. His enormously successful run seemed unstoppable. Then came September 1st, 1939.
We were in Germany when the war broke out. We had 8 hours to get out of Berlin. We had been really ignoring our consulate's advice, leave, there's going to be war. Get your show out now. And we got on the last train, second to the last train going out of Berlin, and we got over to the Scandinavian border. And we lost a lot of apparatus in Berlin getting out. When we got back to the States, we didn't know if we'd ever see the show again.
By September of 1940, Dante had managed to scrape enough equipment together to mount another show. He brought his magical review to the Morosco Theater on Broadway, where he took New York City and the critics by storm.
She rests. She could remain there for hours should I so desire. But watch. Margot, hear me. Are you ready? Then go.
He was brilliant. He had the movements, he had the grace of a star of the ballet at times, but suddenly could sound like the gruff old showman when he needed to with a jaunty cigar.
In 1954, at the age of 71, Dante began looking for a successor, the next keeper of the flame. He found his man in a young magician from the West named Lee Grabel.
Nice to have met you, ladies.
We weren't just looking for a performer, per se. He was looking for something far deeper than that, far more than that certain element that Lee had.
Dante passed away in June of 1955, and the mantle of magic was passed to Lee Grabel. Making magic viable in the 1950s was no easy task. The age-old art form was slowly dying as the new medium of television caught the public's imagination. Grabel did what everyone said was impossible. He built a show that was packing some of the largest auditoriums in America. His signature illusion was the floating piano, an illusion in which a piano, player, and all were levitated into the air.
I had a dream of the type of show I wanted, and that was comparable as much as it could be to Thurston shows and Kellar and Dante's and so forth.
At the height of his success, Lee Grabel surprised the magic world when he announced that he was retiring. But there would be no new addition to the royal dynasty until 1994 and Lance Burton. There was a sense of symmetry in passing the baton to Lance. It was exactly 40 years since the last investiture.
After I received it from Dante in '54, I gave it to Lance in '94.
When I was in junior high school, I had finished all the magic books in the library. I'd read all those, and I started reading the history of magic. And I read about, you know, the Kellar passing along to Thurston and to Dante. And you know, when I was a kid, I was reading this, and it was fascinating to me, you know, to see this sort of this dynasty, this history of magic of one magician passing along his knowledge to another one. Of course, I never dreamed that my life would ever intersect this thing. When I met Lee Grabel, and he told me he wanted to name me as his successor, it was unbelievable. Something that I never dreamed of. It was something so special.
Now,
passing of the symbolic cake has been completed. Congratulations.
Witnessed by over 50 assembled dignitaries from the world of magic, the royal dynasty of magic was passed from Lee Grabel to Lance Burton. As Lee Grabel placed his cape over Lance Burton's shoulders, the assembled dignitaries were reminded that magic is about more than just tricks. Magic is an art form that many have devoted their lives to perfecting. With the mantle comes the responsibility of taking the art form into the next century, a responsibility that Lance Burton is uniquely qualified to fill.
He has a great historical understanding of what's happened before him. He's not afraid to use proven ideas and to put them in front of an audience. You know, watching him, that you're in the hands of a master, and I'll tell you, it changes the show.
People think that magic is stodgy and old-fashioned, and why would people get up there in a tux and produce birds or cards or cigarettes? The only answer to that, to those very legitimate objections, is Lance Burton. Because when you see that, you see how beautiful and truly magical it can be.
We're in the second golden age of magic. People always want to be entertained. People always want to be amazed. So I think there'll always be magicians around.
Los Angeles Raiders, very good. And DARE program, excellent. That's a very good program. I spoke at one of the graduations a few months ago, and you got a hound dog on your... All right, excellent. Everybody take 2 steps forward, nice straight line. I'll get right in the center. Good. Now we're going to do the musical portion of the show. We're going to sing Jailhouse Rock. You're the backup singers and dancers. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Take it, kids. Okay, not tonight. Sometimes they do it. It's really funny. Okay. I didn't forget your cloth, Elvis. And young lady, put your hand right there on top of the cage. Young fella, your hand on the bottom of the cage. Your hand on the front of the cage, sweetheart. Your hand on the back of the cage. Yours on the side of the cage. Yours on the other side, and yours on the top. Go ahead, reach up. Just kick them. They'll get out of your way. Okay, good. Don't put your fingers in the cage. Everybody take your free hand, put that on the opposite side. Both hands. Go ahead. Ah. Thanks, kids. Let's give them a hand, folks. Good job.